Assalamu alaikum. This is the first class of B3 Trigonometry. In this class, we're going to revise the AS level trigonometry in a quick and efficient way. Starting with the first question, find the exact value of sec of 60 degrees. Okay, we know that sec is the reciprocal of cos. So, in the first part, instead of sec of the question is sec of 60, so we're going to write 1 upon cos of 60, because sec is the reciprocal of the cos function, and we know cos of 60 is half. So, it is going to be 1 divided by half, which is going to be a 2. Okay, this is the answer. Okay, moving on to cosec of 50 degrees, 45 degrees. Okay, cosec is the reciprocal of the sine. So, 1 upon sine of 45 degrees. We know sine of 45 is root 2 upon 2. So, 1 divided by root 2 upon 2, which will become 2 divided by root 2. So, in order to simplify this, we can simply multiply it by root 2 upon root 2, so that we can rationalize it. So, we get 2 root 2 upon 2, 2 and 2 get simplified, and the answer is root 2 in this case. Okay. This C part, it's cot of 120 degrees. Cot is the reciprocal of the tan function, so it will be equal to tan of 1 upon tan of 120 degrees. Okay. We know that tan of 60 degrees is root 3. So, tan of 120 degrees is also going to be root 3, but will be negative because it is in the second quadrant. 120 degrees lies in the second quadrant and tan is negative in the second quadrant. So, it is going to be negative 1 upon root 3. Okay, the fourth part, the answer to this is this. The D part is sec of 300 degrees. Sec is the reciprocal of the cos function, 1 upon cos of 300. Okay. In this case, we know that the basic angle is going to be 60. Okay. So, we can find out cos of 60. Cos of 60 is half, but and it is in the fourth quadrant. Cos is positive in the fourth quadrant, so it is going to be simply 1 divided by half, which is actually 2. Okay. Then the E part, which is cosec of 135 degrees, which is equals to 1 upon sine of 135 degrees. In this case, the basic angle is 45 degrees. Okay. So, we can find out 1 upon sine of 45 degrees. Sine of 45 degrees is root 2 upon 2, and since this lies in the second quadrant, it is going to be positive only. So, 1 divided by root 2 upon 2. So, this will become 2 divided by root 2. Once again, when you rationalize it, you will get 2 root 2 upon 2, which is actually root 2. Okay. The fifth one is cot of 330 degrees. Okay. In this case, we know it is going to be equal to 1 upon tan of 330 degrees. Okay. So, the basic angle is 30 degrees, tan of 30 is 1 upon root 3. But since it lies in the fourth quadrant, and in the fourth quadrant tan is negative, so it is going to be 1 divided by negative 1 upon root 3. So, 1 multiplied by root 3 upon 1 and a negative sign. So, negative root 3 answer. Okay, the last one I am doing, the H part now. It is cot of negative 30. They are talking about negative angles. I can write it as 1 upon tan of negative 30. Okay, negative in the fourth quadrant, this lies in the fourth quadrant because negative angle starts clockwise from positive x axis. So, this lies in the fourth quadrant. In the fourth quadrant, tan is negative, and tan of 30 is 1 upon root 3. So, 1 divided by negative 1 root 3. When you simplify, it becomes 1 multiplied by root 3 upon 1, which is negative root 3. Okay. Moving on to the second question. Question number 2. Find the exact values of. Now, this is in radians. So, pi by 6 we know is 30 degrees. So, the first part, cosec of pi by 6 can be written as 1 upon sine of pi by 6. Pi by 6 is 30 degrees, sine of 30 is half. So, it is going to be 1 divided by half. It is going to be 2 then. Okay. Now, if I do the second part, which is cot of pi by 3. Cot of pi by 3, if you not learned the ratios, then you can use your calculator also. Okay. So, cot of pi by 3 is 60 degrees. So, it is 1 upon tan of pi by 3, Tan of 60 is root 3, so 1 upon root 3 will be the answer to this part. Okay, moving on to the C part, it's sec of pi by 4. Pi by 4 is 40, so 1 upon cos of pi by 4. Pi by 4 is 45, so 1 upon cos of 45. Cos of 45 we know as root 2 upon 2. So it's going to be 1 divided by root 2 upon 2, which is actually 2 divided by root 2, which is, if you rationalize, you get 2 root 2 upon 2, which is actually 2. So the answer to this part is going to be root 2 only. Okay, moving on to, if I take this one, the G part, cot of 4 pi by 3. Cot is the reciprocal of the tan function, so it will be 1 upon tan of 4 pi by 3. Okay. Okay, so pi by 3 is 60. Okay, multiplied by 4, so it will be 240. Lies in the third quadrant where tan is positive. Okay, tan of pi by 3 or tan of 60 is root 3. So tan of 4 pi by 3 is also going to be root 3 only. So 1 divided by root 3 will be the answer to the G part. Okay, I am doing the last part now, the H part, which is sec of negative pi by 6. Pi by 6 is 30 degrees. So, and this is negative angles, that means lying in the fourth quadrant where cos is positive, so sec is also going to be positive. So 1 upon cos of negative pi by 6. Cos of 30 is root 3 upon 2. So 1 divided by root 3 upon 2, which is going to be 2 upon root 3. You can give the answer like this, or better if you rationalize it by doing it this way. So it will be 2 root 3 upon 3. This will be the final answer. Okay. So we are done with this question as well. Moving on to the next question, question number 3. Solve each equation for x is greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 360. First question, sec of x equals to 3. Sec is the reciprocal of the cos function, so I am reciprocating both sides. Cos of x equals to 1 upon 3. Now here the sign is positive, that means cos is positive in the first and the fourth quadrant. So we have to first find out the basic angle, keeping the calculator mode angles in degrees. Okay, cos inverse of 1 upon 3. The basic angle is coming out to be a 70.5. While finding out the basic angle, you never put a negative or positive sign. A negative sign, you always put a positive sign. So I wrote cos inverse of 1 upon 3. I got the basic angle. Now in the first quadrant, it will be the same. So x is going to be 70.5 only. But for the fourth quadrant, it will be 360 minus 70.5, which is 289 point. Since we are finding out angles in degrees, all the answers will be up to one decimal place, 289.5. These are the two answers for this part. Okay, I am doing question number B part. It says cot of 8 x equals to 0.8, reciprocating both sides, tan of x equals to 1 upon 0.8, which is 5 upon 4. Okay, finding out the basic angle. Basic angle will be tan inverse of 5 upon 4. Okay, that's what I am doing here, which is coming out to be 51.34. Since tan is positive in the first and the third quadrant, so we have to find out the angles of the first and the third quadrant only. First quadrant, the angle will be 51.3 only, but in the third quadrant, it's going to be 180 plus 51.3, which is 231.3. Okay, doing the last one now. Sec x minus 3 sec x minus 4 equals to 0. So it's going to be 3 times sec x equals to 4. Sec of x equals to 4 upon 3. Since it's positive, I'm going to look for it in the first and the fourth quadrant, because sec is the reciprocal of the cos function and cos is positive in the first and the fourth quadrant. Reciprocating both sides, cos of x equals to 3 upon 4. Finding out the basic angle, cos inverse of 3 upon 4, 41.4. Okay, so the first angle will be 41.4, and the second in the first quadrant, and in the fourth quadrant will be 360 minus the answer. 360 minus 41.4, which is 318.6 degrees. Okay, the next question. Now here we have to find out the angle in radians. Okay, so I'm just doing any two parts here. I'm doing the B and the D part. The B part is sec of x equals to -1. Okay, reciprocating both sides will give me cos of x equals to -1. Cos is negative in the second and the third quadrant, so we're going to look for it in the second and the third quadrant. We'll first find out the basic angle. Cos inverse of 1 is going to give us 0. Okay, and cos is negative. As per the graph of cos, we know that cos is okay, fine, -1 at 180 degrees, which is pi actually. So we're going to give the answer as pi. Okay, basic angle is 30 because 0, but since we know it's negative, so we know cos is -1 at pi. So we're going to give the answer as x equals to pi. This is the first answer. Okay, moving on to the D part, it says 2 cot of x plus 5 equals to 0. Okay, 2 cot of x equals to -5, cot of x equals to -5.2. Reciprocating both sides will give me tan of x equals to -2 upon 5. Now tan is negative in the second and the fourth quadrant. Finding out the basic angle, keeping the angle in radians, tan inverse of 2 upon 5, or tan inverse of 0.4. The basic angle is 0.38. Okay, for the second quadrant it will be pi minus, because in degrees we subtracted from pi for the second quadrant, and in radians we subtracted from pi. In degrees we subtracted from 180. So it's going to be x equals to pi minus 0.38, and for the fourth quadrant it will be 2 pi minus 0.38. So let me just calculate the answers. Pi minus answer is 2.76, and we have to give, because these are the angles in radians, so 3 significant figures will be the rule for this. 2 pi minus 0.38, 5.9, 0 radians. Okay, so these are the two answers for this part. Let's move on to the next question. Solve each equation for x is greater than 0 and less than or equal to 180. Now we have to keep the angles in degrees in the calculator. Okay, I'm just doing two parts, the first one and say the third one. The first one says cosec of 2x. Now we have multiple angles here, it's 2x here. Cosec of 2x equals to 1.2. First of all, we'll alter the range. X was between 0 and 180. So since here we have 2x, so 2x will be between 0 and 360. Okay, that means we have to look for all the angles between 0 and 360. Okay, the basic angle is going to, first of all I'm going to change cosec into sine. So reciprocating both the sides, it will be sine of 2x equals to 1 upon 1.2, which is a 5 upon 6. Sine of 2x equals to 5 upon 6. Now first of all I'm going to find out the basic angle. Basic angle will be sine inverse of 5 upon 6, which is 56.444. Okay, now I'm going to get the angles now. I'll get the angles for 2x now. I have to look for it in the first and the second quadrant, because sine is positive in the first and the second quadrant. So the first quadrant answer is 56.44, and the second quadrant, it will be 180 minus 56.44. Okay. Which is 123 point. We are not looking in the third and the fourth quadrant because although the range goes up to 360 for 2x, but we're just looking for the first and the second quadrant because sign is positive in the first and the second quadrant. So now since we've got the angle for 2x, we're going to divide each of them by 2 to get to the final answer for x, because these are the answers for 2x. 123.55 divided by 2 is giving us 61.8. These are the two answers which we have. Okay, I'm doing the third C part now. It says cot of 2x equals to 1. Okay, reciprocating both sides, it will become tan of 2x equals to 1. Okay, the range is from 0 to 360, 180. For 2x, it's going to be 0 till 360. Okay, tan is positive in the first and the third quadrant, so we're going to look into the first and the third quadrant only. The basic angle is going to be 45, tan inverse of 1, which is 45 degrees. Okay, so the first quadrant, the answer will be 45 only. For the third quadrant, it will be 45 plus 180, which is 225. So x is going to be 45 divided by 2 and 225 divided by 2. Okay, it's going to be 22.5 and 112.5. These are the two answers which we are getting for the D part, for the C part of question number 5. Now we move on to the next question. Solve each equation for the given domains. Okay, so I'll go ahead with solving the C and the D part. Okay, the C part, it says cot. Okay, cot of x plus pi by 4 equals to 2. Okay, the range is bit for x is 0 to 2 pi. So we want the range for x plus pi by 4. So the first step is always to alter the range. X plus pi by 4 is going to be 0 plus pi by 4 is pi by 4, and 2 pi plus pi by 4 here. Okay, so this is the range. That means every angle from pi by 4 up to 2 pi by 4, 2 pi plus pi by 4, we have to accept it. Okay, now look at decide the quadrant. Since it's positive, it will be cot is the reciprocal of tan, so first and the third quadrant only. We just have to get the angles for the first and the third quadrant. Reciprocating both sides, tan of x plus pi by 4 equals to 1 upon 2. Okay, reciprocate when you reciprocate cot, you'll get 10. When you reciprocate 2, you get 1 upon 2. Now you have to find out the basic angle. Basic angle is going to be keeping angles in radians in this particular part. Okay, so I'm changing the angle unit to radians. Okay, tan inverse of 0.5, basic angle is coming out to be a 0.4636. Okay, so x plus, the answers for x plus pi by 4 now. First quadrant, the answer will be 0.4636 only, or I can just round it up to 3 decimal place, 3 significant figures here. So it will become 0.464. Okay, for the third quadrant, it will be 0.464 plus pi, which is 3.605. Okay, if I simply, because the range goes up to 2 pi plus pi by 4. So for the first and the third quadrant, we have already found out. Now if you take this as 2 pi completes till the fourth quadrant, now it's pi by 4 further on that. So if I add 2 pi to this answer for the second rotation, 0.464 plus 2 pi, I'm getting a 0.484. Let's see whether it's in the range or no. 0.484, and my range goes up to 2 pi plus pi by 4. Okay, so let's see, 2 pi plus pi by 4 is 7.068. Okay, that means here the range is 7.068. So you have to look for, if I just take it into decimal, you have to look for all the angles between these two values, 0.785 and 7.068. Now if I just simply, you cannot take this angle, why? Because the range starts from 0.785, so you cannot take it. Okay, this was for the first quadrant, but you cannot take it. Now for the next rotation, okay, you have to add 2 pi to this one. So I'm adding 0.464 plus 2 pi and seeing whether it's coming in the range, which is 6.7. Yes, it's in the range, so I'm going to take 6.747. So these are the two angles which I have to take, and these are the answers for x plus pi by 4. So I'm going to subtract pi by 4 from both of them, from both of these, and get the final answers. So x is going to be 3.605 minus pi by 4 and 6.747 minus pi by 4. So I'm quickly calculating these. This is 5.96 and this is 3.605 minus pi by 4, 2.82. You should always notice that when you go with this range while accepting the angles, finally your final answer will be for sure within this range. Okay, so these are the final answers here. 2.7, this is question number 6, the C part. 2.82 and 5.96 radians. Okay, these are the answers in radians. Okay, moving on to the last part of this, which is 2 cosec, the D part. 2 cosec 2x minus 1 equals to 3, and the range is from negative pi to positive pi. Okay, let's alter the range first. We have to find out the angles for 2x minus 1. This is the range, given to us from minus pi to pi for x. So 2x, you make it into 2x first. 2x is going to be minus 2 pi into 2 pi. Okay, 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1 is going to be minus 2 pi minus 1, and here you will have 2 pi minus 1. Let's get the decimal value of both of these. This is minus 7.85. Mm, 7.28, sorry. This is minus 7.28, and this is 2 pi minus 1, 5.28. Okay, so you have to accept all the angles between within this range. Okay, starting with this, firstly I'm going to shift this 2 in the denominator here, so it's going to become cosec of 2x minus 1 equals to 1.5. Reciprocating both sides, because the calculator does not deal with cosec, it deals with sine only. 2x minus 1 equals to 1 divided by 1.5, which is 2.3. Okay, it's positive, that means you have to look for it in the first and the second quadrant only. Okay, so I'm finding out the basic angle, sine inverse of 2.3. I'm getting a 0.729 as the basic angle. Now the angles which I am going to accept for the first quadrant is 0.729, which comes in this range, so I can accept that. 0.729. For the second quadrant it will be 0.729 subtracted from pi, so pi minus 0.729, 2.4, okay. If I add 2 pi to this, it will go outside the range. Let me check. 0.729 plus 2 pi is going outside the range, which is, yes, 7 point something. So leave it. Now I've got these two angles. I'm going to add 1 to both of them and then divide by 2 to get the value for x, because these are the answers for 2x minus 1. So x is going to be 0.729 plus 1 divided by 2, which is 0.8645. So I'm writing it up to 3 significant figures will be 0.865. And the other one is going to be 2.41 plus 1 divided by 2. So this answer is a 1.705. So up to 3 significant figure will be 1.71 radians. Okay, now one more thing which we have to do is we have to look for the negative side also. If you see the negative side, you have to take the angles from minus 7.28. Okay, so if you look at this, if you see the negative angle starts from here and it goes like this, that means sine is positive in the first and second quadrant, so you have to find out the angle for these two. So if the basic angle was 0.729, the angle in this will become pi plus 7.29, 0.729. So pi plus 0.729, but with a negative sign obviously, which is 3 point. I'm writing those as well here, 3.87, which was the negative angle. And then for this quadrant, it will be 2 pi minus the basic angle, 2 pi minus 0.2 pi minus 0.729, which is 5.55, but with a negative sign obviously you have to take it, minus 5.55. So these two answers also you have to add 1 and divide by 2 to get the final answers. So I'm adding these two also, I'm adding 1 to them and dividing them by 2. So minus 3.87 plus 1 divided by 2, minus 1.435. Okay, likewise minus 5.55 plus 1 divided by 2, minus 2.275. So I'm just simply arranging them now. Up to 3 significant figures if I have to give the answer. The first one will be minus 2.28, then minus 1.44, then a 0.865, and the last one is 1.71. Okay, so this is all done. So we've got these 4 answers. Okay, moving on to question number 7. Solve each equation from x is negative 1 upon 180 to positive 180. So I'm doing the first one and I'm doing the last one. And I'm also doing this one. Okay, the first one is cosec square x equals to 4. I'm going to take out the square root of both the sides. It will become cosec x equals to plus minus 2. Okay, now cosec is the reciprocal of sine, so 1 upon I can just reciprocate both sides, so it will become sine of x equals to plus minus 1 upon 2. Okay, that means I have to look for it in all the 4 quadrants. So all 4 quadrants. I don't need to alter the range because it's x here only, so I just have to see find out the angles between 180, negative 180 and positive 180. Okay, negative 180, if you take negative angle, the basic angle is 30, sine inverse of half. It's going to give you the basic angle, which is 30. If you look at the negative side, so you just have since you have to find out the angles in all the 4 quadrants. If you look at the negative side, x will be a negative 30, negative 150. Okay, and then because you can't go above minus 180, on the positive side it's going to be a 30 and a 50. Okay, so these are the 4 answers for this part. Now I'm doing the C part, which is 9 cot square half x equals to 4. So as a first step, I'm going to write cot square half x equals to 4 upon 9. I'm going to take out the square root of both sides. It will be 2 upon 3 with a plus and a minus. I have to look for it in all the 4 quadrants. Okay, firstly I am going to reciprocate both the sides. I will get tan of half x equals to 3 upon 2 with a plus and a minus. Now I have to find out the basic angle, tan inverse of 3 upon 2, keeping my angle unit in degrees only. Okay, tan inverse of 1.5, the basic angle is 56.3. Okay, now keeping this in mind that you have to look for the negative angles plus positive angles. If I look at the negative side, the answers for half x is going to be minus 56.3, and 180 minus 56.3 is, okay, so it's going to be 123.7. On the positive side, it will be for 56.3 and 123.7. Now these are the answers for half of x. So in order to get the answers for x, you have to multiply all these answers by 2. So it's going to become negative 247.4 here, positive 247.4 here. Okay, if I multiply these also by 256.3 by 2 is 112, negative 112.6 and positive 112.6. These are the answer for question number 7, the C part. The problem is that this answer and this answer is going out of the range, so we don't have to take them, okay? Because in this question we forgot to alter the range. So if you take the range to be between negative 180 and positive 180, so half of x you have to accept all the angles between negative 90 and positive 90. So while accepting the angles, I didn't have to take this one and this one because it was going out of the range. So I'm just eliminating these two. Okay, so the final answer is going to be these two only, 112.6. These are the two final answers which we have. Okay, then I'm moving on to the F part of this, which is 2 tan x equals to 3 cosec x. Okay, no need to alter the range because we just have x here. Simplify this. Tan x is sin x upon cos x, and cosec x is sin x, reciprocal of cos x, so 3 upon sin x here. Okay, cross multiplying will give us 2 sin square x equals to 3 cos x. Now shifting both of them to one side, 2 sin square x minus 3 cos x equals to 0. Now we know we have the first identity where we can change, you cannot do anything with this, but you can change this and bring it to cos in terms of cos x. So the first identity was sin square x plus cos square x, which you've done in the AS level. So sin square x is going to be 1 minus cos square x. So I'm putting, in place of sin square x, I'm going to write 1 minus cos square x. Two minus 2 cos square x minus 3 cos x equals to 0. Shifting all the terms. Acha, I am taking cos x to be y. 2 minus 2y square plus minus 3y equals to 0. Shifting all the terms and making y square positive, so it will be 2y square plus 3y minus 2 equals to 0. Breaking the middle term, 4y minus y minus 2 equals to 0. So if I take out 2y is common, y plus 2 minus 1 is common, y plus 2 equals to 0. 2y minus 1 is the first bracket, y plus 2 is the second bracket. Y equals to half, y equals to negative 2. Y equals to half and y equals to negative 2. Okay, what was y? Y was cos x. Okay, so I can now revert back to the substitution. Cos of x equals to half. I have to solve, and cos of x equals to -2. This you can not solve, the reason being that because whenever the answer of cos of x is less than -1 or greater than 1, this becomes invalid, because the graph of cos x, if you notice, lies between -1 and 1. Okay, so this is not valid, so you can reject it. You can solve this part. Cos of x equals to half, so the basic angle is going to be 60. So, and you have to look for it in the, since it's positive, you have to look for it in the first and the fourth quadrant. First and the fourth quadrant. Okay, so in the first quadrant the answer will be 60 only, and the fourth quadrant will be 300. Okay. But the thing is that our range was between, we had to look for the angles into the range for x was from -180 to 180. So I'm not going to take this. Okay, so I'm going to take 60, and obviously on the negative side it's going to be -60. So these are the two answers. So you can just arrange them and write them down as the final answer. Okay, moving on to question number 8. I'm just going to do, okay, before I start with this, I'm just going to quickly revise the three identities. The first identity which you've done in the AS level is sine square x plus cos square x equals to 1. Okay, now since we know that this is the first identity, if you divide both the terms, both the sides of the identity by sine square x, okay, what do we get now? Just check. I'm rewriting the identity, sine square x plus cos square x equals to 1. Okay, if I divide by sine square x, I will get 1 plus cot square x, because sine upon cos is tan. Tan x is equals to sine x upon cos x. So cot x is going to be cos x upon sine x. So if cot x is cos x upon sine x, cot square x is going to be cos square x upon sine square, equals to sine square cosec square x. This is the second identity. Okay, so you have to remember that 1 plus cot square x equals to cosec square x. You call this as the second identity. Now if I want the third identity, I'm going to rewrite the first identity first. Sine square x plus cos square equals to 1, dividing it by cos square x now overall. Okay, sine square x upon cos square x is going to give you tan square x plus 1 equals to sec square x. This is the third identity which we have. So now we have three identities. First, we call this the second identity, and this is the third identity. Okay, I'm just writing the third identity is this one, and this is the second identity. Okay, so you have to memorize them by heart, and it's also written on the paper, the question paper, the formula sheet. Okay, so I am going to use, I'm going to solve, say, the last one. And this one. Okay, so I'm going to solve these two, the C and the F part. So if I have to do the C part, question number 8, the C part here, it says 2 cot square theta minus cosec theta equals to 13. Whenever you notice in an equation where you have cot and cosec, you always have to go for the third identity. Now you know that you cannot do anything about this. The most you can do is make it into 1 upon sine theta. So don't change this. Change this and use the third identity. Cot square x is going to be cosec square x minus 1, because this 1 is going to shift to this side. So I'm going to use this in place of cot square theta. I'm going to write cosec square theta minus 1. Minus cosec theta equals to 13. This will become 2 cosec square theta minus 2 minus cos theta cosec theta minus 13 equals to 0. So if I take let cosec theta equals to y. So it will be 2y square minus y minus 15 equals to 0. Breaking the middle term, it will give me 2y square minus 6y plus 5y minus 15 equals to 0. Now see, if I am adding them up, I am getting the middle term, which is minus 1. When multiplying them is going to give me a minus 30y square, which is the product of the first and the third term. So I am going to write take out 2y as common, so I will be left with y minus 3 here. If I take out 5 as common, I will be left with y minus 3 here. So the first bracket is 2y plus 5 and the other one is y minus 3 equals to 0. So one answer is going to be negative 5 upon 2 and the other answer is going to be y equals to 3. Okay, what is y? Y is cosec. So cosec theta equals to negative 5 upon 2. So if I reciprocate both sides, it becomes sine of theta equals to minus 2 upon 5. Looking for it in the first and the sine is negative in the third and the fourth quadrant, so I have to look for it in the third and the fourth quadrant. What is the domain of the question? It's from 0 to 360. Okay, and I don't need to alter the range here. So simply the basic angle is sine inverse of 0.4 is giving me 23.6 degrees. For the third quadrant, I just have to simply add 180 to this, which is giving me theta as 203 point, up to one decimal place would be this. And for the fourth quadrant, I will have to subtract this from 360 minus 23.6, which is a 336.4. Okay, 336.4. Just hold on for a while. Go on. Okay, 336. Okay. Fine. So I've got two answers from here. One is 203.6 and the other one is 336.4. Now I have to take the other one also, y equals to 3. So I'm going to write cosec of theta equals to 3. So sine of theta is going to be 1 upon 3. It's positive, so you have to look for it in the first and the second quadrant. So the basic angle is going to be, basic angle in this case is going to be sine inverse of 1 upon 3, which is 19.4. So writing it here, theta equals to 19.5. So the first quadrant will be 19.5 only, but in the second quadrant it will be 180 minus 19.5, which is 160.5. So the four answers which I have, I'm going to arrange them quickly. So theta is going to be 19.5, 160.5, 203.6 and 336.4. These are the four answers which I have. Okay. Now I have to do the F part. Okay, I am doing the F part now. I know that there is an identity which has sec and cosec, which is this Sec and cosec we don't have in one identity, but what we can actually look into this is that this can be changed into cos and this can be changed into sine. So let's do it. Root 3 will stay up in the numerator only, this will come down and it will become cos of cos square theta here equals to, this is 1 upon sine theta. Okay, cross multiplying, root 3 sine theta equals to cos square theta. Okay, all the terms on one side, cos square theta minus root 3 sine theta equals to 0. Now, I know the first identity has sine square and cos square theta. So, cos square theta is going to be 1 minus sine square theta. So, I can write 1 minus sine square theta minus root 3 sine theta. Now, all of it is in terms of sine theta. So, I can take sine theta to be y. Let sine theta equals to y. So, it is going to become 1 minus y square minus root 3y equals to 0. So, I am shifting all the terms to the other side, y square plus root 3y minus 1 equals to 0. Okay. So, if I take a as 1, b is root 3 and c is 1 and apply the formula, quadratic formula, and get the values of y. Okay. So, minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac upon 2a minus root 3 plus minus okay. Okay, let me solve this with the calculator first. C is a negative 1, so here it's going to be a negative 1 plus minus 3 plus 4 is 12 upon 1. So, I'm just using the calculator right now. The two answers which I am getting are y equals to 0.456, 457 and negative 2.189. Okay, y was replaced by sine. Okay, so sine of theta equals to 0.457 and sine of theta equals to negative 2.189. You have to reject it because sine the graph lies between negative 1 and positive 1, so you have to reject this. It's going to be, now let's find out the angle. This is positive, so first and the third quadrant, so I'm just using sine inverse now. Sine inverse of 0.457, 27 point, so the basic angle is 27.2. So, in the first quadrant it will be 27.2, in the second quadrant it will be 180 minus 27.2, which is 152.8. These are the two answers. Okay, let's move on to question number 9 now. Question number 9, solve each equation from 0 to 180. So, I am just solving, say, the B and the D part. B part says 2 sec square 2 theta equals to 3 tan 2 theta plus 1. I can use the second identity, which is 1 plus tan square theta equals to sec square theta. So in place of sec square theta, I can write 1 plus tan square theta. So it will be 2 into 1 plus tan square 2 theta equals to 3 tan 2 theta plus 1. Okay, 2 plus 2 tan square 2 theta equals to 3 tan 2 theta plus 1. All the terms on one side, so 2 tan square 2 theta minus 3 tan 2 theta plus 1 equals to 0. Let tan of 2 theta equals to y, so it will become 2y square minus 3y plus 1 equals to 0. Breaking the middle term will be minus 2y minus y plus 1 equals to 0. Okay, so if I take out 2y is common, y minus 1 is common, y minus 1 equals to 0. 2y minus 1 and y minus 1 equals to 0. One answer is 2y equals to 1 and the other answer is y equals to 1. So y equals to half and y equals to 1. Y was taken as tan of 2 theta. Tan of 2 theta equals to half and tan of 2 theta equals to 1. Okay, the range here for theta is 0 to 180. So if I take it to be tan 2 theta, it's going to be 0 and 360. That means I can accept all the angles between 0 and 360. So I'm finding out tan inverse of 0.5. The basic angle is 2.5, 26.6. Okay, so the answers for 2 theta is going to be, we have to look for it in the first and the third quadrant because tan is positive in the first and the third quadrant. So 26.6, which is in the range, yes, plus the third quadrant will be plus 180, 26.6 plus 180, which is 206.6. Okay, theta is going to be divide them by 2. It's going to be 13.3 and this is going to be 103.3. These are the two answers from here. Now we do it from here. This is also going to be first and the third quadrant. So theta is going to be 45 degrees. So 2 theta is going to be 45 and 45 plus 180, which is 225. So theta is going to be 22.5 and 112.5. So arranging them in order, so the first one is 13.3, 22.5, 103.3 and 112.5. Okay. Okay, just checking the answers for a while. Just hold on. Okay, they're perfect. Then we move on to question number 10. We have to do one more from here, so we can pick on doing the D part. Okay, we know that the third identity uses cot square and cosec. So we know that the third identity was 1 plus cot square theta equals to cosec square theta. So in place of cot square, I'll write cosec square theta minus 1. Since the angle uses 2 theta, so I'll have to replace theta by 2 theta. So it's going to be 2 times cosec square 2 theta minus 1. Okay, plus 7 cosec 2 theta minus 2 equals to 0. 2 cosec square 2 theta minus 2 plus 7 cosec 2 theta minus 2 equals to 0. Okay, let cosec theta equals to y. So it will become 2y square minus plus 7y minus 4 equals to 0. Breaking the middle term, 2y square plus 8y minus y. Y is cosec 2 theta. Okay, so sine cosec is the reciprocal of sine. Sine is positive in the first and the second quadrant. Okay, so the first quadrant, the answer is going to be a 30. Okay, so the basic angle is 30. So you can write first of all, as a first step, hold on for a while, it's cosec 2 theta equals to half. So if I change it into sine of 2 theta, it will be 2 upon 1. Okay, and basic angle, this will be rejected because it's out of the range. Okay, so you have to reject this one. Let's take the other one. Cosec 2 theta equals to negative 4. So sine of 2 theta equals to negative 1 upon 4. Okay, so you have to look for it in the third and the fourth quadrant. So basic angle is sine inverse of 1 upon 4, sine inverse of 0.25, which is 14.4, 14.5. Okay, so the answers for 2 theta will be 180 plus 14.5, which is 194.5. And for the fourth quadrant, it is the range. I just wanted to check, it's from 0 to 180. Okay, if the range for theta is from 0 to 180, so 2 theta will be from 0 to 360. That means you can accept angles in the first rotation in all the four quadrants. Okay, the fourth quadrant will be 360 minus 14.5. 345.5. Theta is going to be, dividing both the answers by 2, I am getting a 172.8 from here, and 194.5 divided by 2 is 97.3 from here. Okay, so this was question number 9, the D part, which we have done. Okay, question number 10, I'm just going to do one part out of this. You have to find, it's the same, you have to use the identity, but you have to look for the angles in the between 0 and 2 pi. So I'm doing the first one. I'm going to replace tan square theta, because the identity is 1 plus tan square theta equals to sec square theta. So I'm going to replace tan square theta by sec square theta minus 1 plus 3 sec theta equals to 0. Okay, let sec theta equals to y, so it will be y square minus 1 plus 3y equals to 0. Y square plus 3y minus 1 equals to 0. Y square plus since I can't break the middle term in this case, I will have to use the quadratic formula. Okay, fine. So it's going to be y square plus 4y minus y minus 1 equals to 0. Okay, I can't break the middle term here, so I'm using the quadratic formula. A equals to 1, b equals to 3, c equals to negative 1. Okay, so minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac upon 2a. 9 plus 4 upon 2. So the two answers I am getting is 0.303, and the other answer is negative 3.3. Okay, what was y? Y was actually tan of theta. No, sec theta. Sec theta equals to 0.303 and sec theta equals to negative 3.3. So if I reciprocate both the sides, I will get cos theta equals to 1 upon 1 divided by 0.303, which is 3.3, which you have to reject because you cannot find out if whenever cos theta equals to, if it is greater than 1 or less than negative 1, you have to reject it because the graph lies between negative 1 and 1. So you have to reject this part. For this part, you can write cos of theta equals to minus 1 upon 3.3, which is 0.303. Cos of theta equals to negative 0.303, which indicates that you have to find out the only thing which I have, fine. Now I have to keep the mode in the radians mode. Okay, so cos inverse of the answer, it's giving me 1.26. The basic angle is 1.26. I have to look for it in all the quadrants, but where cos is negative, that means the second and the third quadrant. So one answer is going to be pi plus 1.26, which is 4.40 up to 3 significant figures, and one answer is going to be 2 pi minus 1.26, which is 5.023. So theta equals to 4.40 and 5.02. These are the answers which I am getting. Okay, thanks a lot for watching the video.